Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our webinar today, Exploring Your Data Strategy with SAP Datasphere. With me today is Karthik Adula, our VP of Technology and Delivery, and I am Phil King, Vice President of Strategy and Growth. So today, we've got a short agenda. First, we'll give a quick overview of BTP, or SAP's Business Technology Platform. Then we'll go into a component of BTP, which is Datasphere, and give an overview of that. We'll talk about migration strategies for SAP Datasphere, our business use cases and delivered solutions, our learnings, and lastly, our co-innovation workshop. So I know many of you have heard about Datasphere. Maybe you've already experienced it. Today, we're going to separate ourselves and do things a little bit differently. We're going to tell some customer stories, and then we're also going to have an offering at the very end of our webinar to hopefully enable you even further in the Datasphere space. Karthik, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Phil. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, all. This is Karthik Adula, VP of Technology and Delivery. So I oversee the complete delivery operations at Tech. So let's get into the subject of BTP. So what is BTP? So BTP stands as SAP Business Technology Platform. It's a central hub which gives an opportunity for developing, integrating, extending, and operating the complete applications on cloud. So being offered as a platform as a service, this BTP has an options or a combination of the tool sets which enables a development team to do app development as well as automation part and complete bleeding edge AI and ML technology use cases. Everything can be fit into one single offering, which is Business Technology Platform. As an organic product of SAP, it has a tighter integration with SAP products, which may include public cloud, private cloud, on-prem. At the same time, with a strong API and third-party integrations, it can seamlessly integrate with SAP as well as non-SAP data sources or applications. Now, going one step down. So what are the capabilities within the Business Technology Platform? Like I was saying, right from application development all the way to bleeding edge AI and ML use cases. You can fit in, it provides a tools and services to run every single use case. Powered by SAP HANA Cloud, BTP provides an opportunity or tool sets to do like application development like build apps, app giver, and automation like robotic process automation, data and analytics, which includes Datasphere, HANA Cloud, HANA Data Lake, SAP Analytics Cloud, relational databases. At the same time, AI and ML use cases like AI Launchpad, AI Core, and you can fit in almost every single use case within one central hub. One step down into what are the technology tools we can get out of BTP to support these functional use cases or functional capabilities. So coming to technical tool sets offered in BTP, from the database management side or analytical side, you can spin up in HANA Cloud, a DI server, or Datasphere, SAP Analytics Cloud. And going back to intelligent technologies, we can have AI Launchpad, AI Core, and it has a SAP build. It has wide variety of tools, services, HANA Cloud, S4 HANA Cloud, everything can be offered through SAP BTP platform. So it's a one single place where you can run all the applications related to SAP. Within this BTP, so today our focus is mainly on the Datasphere. So now, what is Datasphere? So Datasphere, an offering from BTP, or you can spin on top of BTP. So Datasphere is a cloud-based, in my opinion, it's a cloud-based end-to-end data management solution offered by SAP. So its unique capabilities makes organizations or enables organizations to embrace data fabric and data mesh implementations or methodologies in the organization. So it has a very unique capabilities and unique connectors where you can harmonize the data out of multiple data sources and you can implement the data fabric architecture. So now, Datasphere being an integral part of SAP, it fully preserves the data of business context for the data coming out of SAP applications. What I mean by that, so it can connect to S4, BW4, HANA seamlessly. You can harmonize the data, or you can virtualize the data, or you can completely replicate the data without losing any business context of the data, like master data hierarchies or attributes or any kind of external data context which is part of SAP's data. Now, spoke about data fabric and data mesh. Let's spend some time on to understand what is data fabric and what is data mesh. So it is very common in any organization, no matter how much the size is, having a heterogeneous databases or heterogeneous data places, which means like data stored in multiple places. Not the entire data can be part of S4. At the same time, not the entire data can be non-SAP. So you have data across SQLs, Oracles, SAP, S4s, and also with these lake houses for cost-effective storage. So you have data being spread across multiple places. Now, what is a data fabric? So data fabric is an intelligent way of stitching the data without replicating the data, which means like, you can, it's a providing a solution or providing a one-stop place for the customers, where rather than going to multiple places and stitch the data by themselves, it's a tool, it's a concept where consumers can come to one place and start fishing for the data. So Datasphere having a wide variety of connectors, not only to SAP, but also to other third-party systems, be it wide variety of different databases. So you can implement or you can construct the data fabric architecture very easily. Now, what is data mesh? So now that you have a data fabric, or now that you have a fabric with all the data within the tool, data mesh is it's a decent, it's in one way, it is how you represent the data or how you allow your consumers to fish the data from the data fabric. So it is giving an access or full autonomy to the users however they want to represent the data. So within data spheres, with its inbuilt capability of spaces and data marketplace. So spaces is nothing but like in to make it more simpler for technology folks or database folks, like a schema. Like you can consider it like a schema, isolating from other schemas, where it has its own security, where it can have its own computing power. So with the technology, you can implement the data mesh architecture very easily. That way, we can silo it from the other departments, and at the same time, you can share with other departments when needed, and it can have its own security controls. So with this capabilities, we can implement these methodologies very easily. And one um, benefit of Datasphere is it can connect to any kind of reporting tools, be it SAC, be it Power BI, Tableau, or any kind of SQL interface. We have a seamless integration with these third-party tools. Now, going again one step further into the Datasphere architecture. So what are the functional capabilities of Datasphere? So as we know, Datasphere is a foundation for data fabric and data mesh methodologies. So what are the functional aspects or capabilities that will complement it or that will enable us to implement those? So like I said, Datasphere has a strong connectivity tools. It can connect to any kind of external source and SAP application. It has inbuilt embedded data lake solutions for cost-effective storages. At the same time, you can connect to third-party external data lake like S3, Databricks, or blob storages, or any kind of like cost-effective storage, vault storages within the Datasphere world. So you can consume or you can connect to Datasphere via APIs and CLI interface. At the same time, it has a strong data federation tools or capabilities, which means like instead of replicating the data, you can completely virtualize the data. At the same time, it has a data replication tool and data transformation capabilities for all the ETL logic and ETL kind of a use cases. And like I was saying, it has a space management, cataloging, and data marketplace, which enables to embrace the data mesh concepts within the organization, where you can decentralize the data and then you can have a business users or specific departments own their own data and represent their own data. Now, it's an enterprise grade solution, which means all the admin functions and security standards are in place. And one outstanding thing in DataSphere is semantic onboarding, which is nothing but like business content enablement. So like most of us know, like SAP is very pro, or it's like one of the biggest advantages of SAP solutions is their business content, where we can enable the business content, we can install the business content, and we can start using the product right away without spending much time on development life cycle. So DataSphere comes with a standard business content which can connect with multiple wide variety of SAP solutions, which includes S4, BW4, S4, SAC, and many other cloud applications. At the same time, SAP has a BW bridge. DataSphere has a BW bridge, which no, we're gonna go make a deep dive later in the slides. So those are the functional capabilities, or I would say like features available in the data sphere. Let's look at like what are the different technical aspects of it which enables us to implement those functional capabilities. So semantic onboarding, like I said, it's a business content. Datasphere, its own inbuilt repository explorer, which is like you can do the lineage and impact analysis very easily, and it has a very strong data integration tool, which means you can connect to wide variety of sources, like depicting on the left side of the screen. You can connect to SAP, non-SAP, as well as the data lake solutions, and you can do all the medium, low to very complicated ETL use cases. Everything can be implemented in the data sphere, and it has its own replication flows, data flows, which using which you can implement multiple ETL use cases. And the top of the picture it shows it has a IT driven space. When I say the space, IT driven capabilities where IT folks can start creating little bit complicated flows like graphical flows, SQL views, or any kind of like creating the tables and everything. The same time, it has its own business side of the business features like business models, or like consumption views or analytical modeling, where users can create their own views for their own reporting, or self-service reporting. Now, why DataSphere? So like I was saying, no, it's a foundation of the data fabric. No, organizations are running towards implementing the data fabric architecture because of this wide variety of the technology is going towards like having one common place or one stop place for the data fishing. So data fabric architecture enables it, and data sphere is a foundation of SAP's data fabric concepts. Now, second one, with its semantic onboarding and a good amount of, I would say like gamut amount of business content already delivered as a part of DataSphere tenant, we can connect to any SAP systems, and we can reduce the development life cycle. And one of the bigger challenge which we have seen with other customers when we are going towards this cloud data warehouses with non-SAP systems is losing the business context of the data. So for example, let's take S4 system. I know we have a PNL, or we may have financial data coming out of S4 system. So it is not that easy. Rather, I would say it is highly complicated to take the raw data out and stitching the data together again to get the PNL constructed back. Whereas within S4, we have a standard CDS views, standard extractors, which can represent the data in a much more cleaner format as required for the business for the month-end closes. So DataSphere, being an organic part of SAP, you can completely preserve the business context, and it can connect without any further development. And like I was explaining, it has space management, data sharing, data catalogs, or data marketplace, which enables the data mesh concepts, which is part of the data sphere. And one outstanding thing which I felt as part of our learnings in data sphere is agile self data modeling. So let's spend some time in understanding what is this agile self data modeling. So very often we are seeing a gap between a business driven modeling and IT driven modeling. Take a use case of SAP HANA or on-prem SAP HANA solution. Even though it supports or it enables IT to create very complicated logic, implement very complicated data modeling scenarios. Very often business always wanted to have some kind of hands-on experience, or hands-on enablement for their own business needs to do some kind of data modeling. For example, in SAC we can do linked analysis where you can merge multiple models, we can load Excel files, and we can do some kind of modeling. But with the way technology is growing, it is not uncommon to have a business user to expect a power of little bit more medium complicated use cases within their own self or their own hands. So data sphere, what we felt with our understanding with past couple of years of multiple implementations of data sphere, one thing which we notice is this tool is exactly solving that particular gray area, which is it can be one stop place where both IT and business can coexist. What I mean by that, IT can still own the very complicated use case development like machine learning, PALs, APLs, or table functions, or complicated SQL views, or database kind of, which requires a good amount of proficient SQL coding or any kind of technical coding. IT can still be part of, use data sphere to achieve those things. At the same time, business can reuse those same views and add their own context if they want. Like, they want to merge two data sources, minimal amount of joins, medium amount of inner joins, outer joins, no whatnot. The data sphere is a place where both IT and business can coexist and achieve what they want, and it is one step closer. No, it would perfectly fit in the gap of self-service modeling and self-service analytics. And one other important thing is foundation of the planning. What I mean by that is the planning solution? No, but SAC being a planning solution out of from SAP, DataSphere has a very tighter integration with SAC, which means as you plan the data in SAC, the data can be written back into DataSphere remotely, virtually, snapshotting it. You have multiple options, and you can harmonize the planning data with actuals or any other business context if you want, or if you want to use the planning data for external machine learning use cases or any kind of data exploration use cases. DataSphere can be the place. Planning will happen in SAC. You can write back the data into DataSphere, which gives us multiple amount of options on top of the data, and then you can again report it back into SAC either via APIs, or you can have a direct connectivity to DataSphere. That's it. Let's get into a couple of migration options. What we feel, how we achieved, what we did for customers who wants to migrate from SAP BW to SAP DataSphere, or customers without even SAP BW solutions into DataSphere. So this slide, we primarily focused on the customers with existing BW investments or existing BW in their technology architecture. So we have two approaches, hybrid and BW bridge. So hybrid approach is we still preserve our BW or BW4 HANA system that still stays in, and DataSphere has a very seamless, tighter integration with BW, which means all the data, all the ETL, every daily, nightly jobs, weekly jobs, whatever we call it, everything will still be on the on-prem. DataSphere can be a virtualized system on top of BW where you can connect it via to other non-SAP sources, or you can harmonize it. It can be part of that. It can enable the data fabric architecture, and then on top of DataSphere, we can consume the data through SAC, Power BI, any kind of SQL interface. The second one is BW bridge. So if we need to retire our SAP on-prem applications and go towards cloud-first approach, if our organizations are going towards cloud-first or cloud-first methodologies where you want to retire our on-prem infra and then go to cloud architecture, cloud-based technologies, BW Bridge is a solution mainly intended for customers who wants to reuse their investment in the BW system. So BW, to put it in a very simple way, BW Bridge is nothing but a BW4 HANA system offered within the DataSphere tenant. So we can migrate our BW4 on-prem BW4 or BW systems into BW Bridge. Standard cell conversion, we can move with the data, without data, or metadata, however we want it. And once the data is moved, we can start loading the data from our on-prem ERP applications into the BW bridge, just like how we do it for our BW4 systems. And all the modeling will happen in the BW bridge. And your reporting layer, or I would say like no, the equivalent of BEX will be the data sphere. So in the data sphere, we start adding the modeling aspects of it, and then consumers can use data sphere as a tool for the reporting purpose. So going one step detailed into how the BW and BW4 hybrid integration works, as the picture shows, it supports BW on NEDB, BW on HANA, BW4 HANA. Obviously, BW4 HANA has more add advantages, like it has semantic onboarding, which is on supports only BW4 HANA objects. So if we can, data will still be in the on-prem, and then data sphere can be more like a virtualized layer. The other one is complete data sphere migration using BW Bridge. Like I was saying in the other slide, a few slides back, BW Bridge is nothing but a BW4 solution delivered as a part of Datasphere. So we can shell convert all the existing on-prem BW Bridge data into BW4 data or BW data into BW Bridge, and we can start using the Datasphere technology to consume the data. And all the cold data, traditionally BW may have like close to 10 years or 7 years worth of data, and we don't really typically want to have everything in the warm storage or hot storage within the data sphere. So now we can migrate with only few years worth of data, and then the older data can be archived or like be part of data lake. We have a very specific use case on the same scenario, which will go into further details in the next slides. Now, what are the business use cases? Within last couple of years, we did, like I was saying, we did many Datasphere implementations, and we picked up three most, I would say, which would cover the entire Datasphere wide variety use cases. We picked up three of those use cases, and I want to go through them. So first one, it's for one of our CPG industry based out of Chicago. So desired outcomes, the customer is implementing a new S4. They are migrating from ECC to S4, and the strategy is they want to retire their on-prem BW system, and they want to fully go to cloud-based technologies. So without taking the names, the customer tried couple of other solutions where like pulling the data out of ECC and then trying to make the non-SAP's databases as the source systems or as a data warehouse solutions. But one biggest trouble, like any other customer, it became very tough and near impossible for them to stitch back the data. It incurred huge development effort and huge development cost to restitch the data, to add the business context, to add the master data, to add the hierarchies, and it became like an enormous amount of like heavy lift. So now DataSphere being a SAP part, so we propose DataSphere as a solution. So it resolved almost many of their existing problems in the other databases, which is we were able to connect to S4 directly without no problem, and we were able to get the full context of the data or full business context out of S4 systems. And DataSphere became a tool of choice or one-stop place for all the reporting needs. Since the customer was on BW and it was very old BW on HANA, but still like it was age-old BW system. So what we did, we started migrating them into BW Bridge first as a stopgap solution. So we took all the BW systems and converted into BW Bridge, and we first retired the old BW system. And subsequently, we started to convert the BW use cases into DataSphere use cases so that we can even retire the BW bridge and go for complete DataSphere implementation. And all the new use cases coming out of SAP S4 were all DataSphere artifacts, and old data was still in BW Bridge, and slowly we started migrating them into the DataSphere. So it's a very hybrid solution where we not only used DataSphere native development, also BW Bridge, and also data lake solution for all the cold storage data. It's a sample architecture before and after, where from the SAP ERP we used to have HANA BW 7.3 and traditional BobJ reports. Now we converted everything into DataSphere. We also upgrade BobJ to 4.3 connected to DataSphere using the HANA database connections, and also introduce SAC as a new reporting solution. And the existing reports out of Tableau and Power BI still stayed there. The second use case is one of for our construction company. So the customer was on DataSphere for a good amount of time, but one of the business outcomes or challenges which they were facing is um, they couldn't find a way to implement very complicated use cases which were able to achieve in their on-prem HANA. So they had to maintain both the systems. So they used to do all the development in HANA and consume via DataSphere as a remote sources. So this kind of created a bottleneck to retire the on-prem HANA. At the same time, there was some pain points of connecting to DataSphere from the third-party sources because business names were duplicated and manual metadata handling was not properly done. And one of the biggest I won't say the complaint, but challenge was IT and business coexisting in one tool. So what we did for this customer, we introduced a very bleeding edge or cutting edge solution on DataSphere, which is consuming the HANA cloud underneath the DataSphere, which is DataSphere SAP allows to consume or leverage the HANA cloud underneath the DataSphere for a full blown SQL data warehousing. So using the HDI concept, so what we did, we we were able to migrate the entire complicated flows which are part of their on-prem HANA into HDA containers and HDA development, which supports every single HANA development, table functions, DB functions, everything. The same time, we can reconsume them in DataSphere spaces that way, like business can reuse them for their own self-service modeling. So this is, I would say, like perhaps more technologically very advanced way of modeling where you can achieve all the complicated use cases using HDA modeling. At the same time, business can still use business builders, consumption views, or analytical models on top of that IT constructed complicated use cases. The third one is for a manufacturing industry. So customer was on BW for BW HANA, but they used to have a lot of slowness in the financial reporting. At the same time, they want to reduce their infra cost and maintenance cost. So DataSphere with BW Bridge was chosen as a solution. The reason being, um, they have a very huge investments in the existing BW system. It's been maintained from last 15 years, and they have a very complicated custom codes, ABAP codes, and everything being maintained as a part of BW. And customer doesn't want to really reinvent them or re-code them in the data sphere as of now. But at the same time, they want to reduce the infrastructure cost. And data sphere being a fully platform as a service, don't really need to worry about uptime, downtime, maintenance, and everything because everything is handled as a part of our tenant contracts. So the solution proposed was full blown BW bridge solution where the entire on-prem system is being converted or shell converted into BW bridge system for the last 3 years worth of data. And then anything older than that older data, we channeled it into embedded data lake for kind of warm storage maintenance. I know for the warm storage needs. So all the old data has been vaulted into the embedded data lake, and all the custom logic has been converted. And we face couple of some of the function modules, some of the function syntaxes are not as same as on-prem systems. So kind of recoded them within the BW bridge. It's part of any development cycle. And finally we were able to retire the on-prem BW system, and everything was part of SAP BW bridge, and any new development was still been part of the data warehouse native artifacts like data builders, remote tables, and everything. So what are our learnings from these three use cases? So the first one is we can fully reuse our current BW or any S4 embedded analytics development which we did. So we don't really need to recode or reinvent the wheels in the data sphere. Everything can be leveraged very easily. And one very beneficial thing in data sphere is its own embedded data lake solution. So for any cost effective storages which we want for kind of warmer data, not really hot data, we can still consume it via embedded data lake solutions. And like I was saying, no, it's the foundation for the data fabric and data mesh. It's a bullet we have to bite sometime. So we have to implement the data fabric architecture for the efficient, business consumption of data. So data sphere, it's SAP's solution for this to implement these concepts or methodologies in the organization. And like I was saying, it's a one-stop place where both IT and business can coexist, which means we have one tool where IT can still do their IT governed artifacts for all the complicated use cases, and business can still use the same tool for their own self-service modeling. And HDA containers modeling are now being SAP allowing to access the HANA cloud underneath the data sphere. That's a huge win for complicated use cases like PaaS, APLs, all these advanced use cases. And Datasphere has a very wide partnerships with wide connectors to multiple different kinds of data sources. At the same time, it has partnerships across the other tools like Databricks, Confluent. So you can completely harmonize and virtualize the data to and fro between those systems. So so that will create this fabric across the company. So being that, I will hand it over to Phil. Phil, it's all yours now.
Great. Thank you, Karthik. That was very good information. Real quickly, Tech Analytics, we are a business management consulting firm focusing on data and analytics. We've been around for about a dozen years now. We've got extensive experience in the SAP space, specifically in data analytics, whether it's S4, it's IBP, it's Datasphere, SAP Build, SAC Planning. We also offer a number of different project services as well as talent solutions for your organization. I had mentioned at the very beginning that we had a little offering at the end. So Karthik, if you go to the next slide, please. One of the things I challenged my team and our team to do every single day is ask the question, why are we different? Why are we better? And how do we prove it? So this is the way we're going to prove it. We do quite a bit of co-innovation, which is mutually beneficial to both our customers as well as ourselves. And what we'd like to offer today is a one-day hands-on co-innovation workshop. Basically, assuming you have unused SAP credits, the idea would be to do a hands-on stand-up of Datasphere in your environment, building a small use case around it that then you can take to whether it's the IT team or the business team and say, hey, this is a solution for us. It's got great potential, and we think we can not only save some money, but be more productive. We'd also begin conversations about other use cases we've had and how we can help looking at future data and analytics roadmaps, knowing what SAP is doing in the future, whether you're on SAC or whether you're in one of the more modern S4 public or private clouds or anything in between. We'd love to have those conversations in that one-day workshop, complimentary on our expense. That would also be able to give you access to our fully integrated tech training environment. So we have our own system that we've continuously upgraded and updated to be on the cutting edge of every new technology that SAP brings out. And we'd like to offer that to you as well, to be able to continue your learnings and work together with us so we can prove to you all that we are who we say we are. So now we're going to go into some Q&A that you've put into the, hopefully you put into the chat. Okay, Karthik, I think we've got some questions.
Yeah. Okay. So question from Gautam. It says, how is it integrated with SAC for planning use cases? Okay, that's a great question. So Datasphere has a very tight integration with the SAP Analytics Cloud for both for BI as well as the planning use cases. What I mean by that, so for all the BI use cases, for all the reporting needs, you can directly tap onto Datasphere without creating any connection from the SAC. So it can directly have tighter integration. But things are a little bit complicated for the planning use cases because the planning data needs to be part of SAC for all the planning functions to run. So Datasphere has bidirectional connectors to SAC, which means we can load the data into the SAC system using the OData connectors, standard OData connectors, specifically for Datasphere. At the same time, once the planning is done, we can still harmonize the data into Datasphere using the cloud connectors. So you have a native inbuilt cloud connectors. It goes through DP agent. So all the planning data from SAC can be retrieved back into Datasphere remotely. You can virtualize it, or you can even do all the modeling things on top of planning data within Datasphere. For example, any account modeling or key figure modeling, you can transpose the data. You can do all those things within the Datasphere. One other additional advantage for having Datasphere for the planning use cases, um, any kind of complicated script logics you want to run as a part of the planning sequence or planning operations, we can still delegate them to Datasphere and get the data back into SAC.
Great.
Hopefully that should answer. Yeah. I have one more question. Uh, can we load unstructured data into Datasphere? Um, So yes, we can. It's a native. It has its own embedded data lake solution. So obviously, unstructured data, by unstructured data, we always mean it's a vault storage, or it's not. Typically, it shouldn't be any warm storage, hot storage. So we can load the data into data lake of SAP, and then consume it via DataSphere.
Great.
Can yeah.
Go
Next
ahead.
one is, yeah, can we write complicated data flows and DB procedures? Yes, this is one of the thing which we implemented for our construction management customer, where a full SQL data warehousing is possible in DataSphere by leveraging HDI containers or by connecting the HANA cloud underneath, which means all the data flows, DB procedures, table functions, everything can be achieved via whatever we are doing in the on-prem HANA. It can be easily achieved, or no, same thing can be achieved in the Datasphere also. Uh, so how is it different from other cloud storages? So it's a good question. So I don't want to take any names of the other cloud storage, but it's very competitive, which means like Datasphere inbuilt has in my opinion, tighter integration with SAP. So as long as we have SAP footprint and SAP S4 applications, Datasphere will organically fit into that ecosystem. And second thing, it has both hot, warm, and cold data tiering enabled already, which means we can have all the warm data in the hot and warm, or no, hot data in the data sphere, and then cold data with its integration to data lake solutions or external data lake houses. So we can harness everything into one single place. That way, we without losing the business context, without restitching any data, we can achieve all the analytical use cases.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Karthik. I really appreciate that. So thank you all for joining us today. If you are interested in doing a one-day workshop with us, my contact information is on the screen. Please contact me, or if there's other things you're looking at, whether it's S4, S4 public cloud, it could be SAC, SAC planning, SAP build, AI. We do all of those different things. I'll be sharing this video with you as well. Please reach out to me if necessary. We'd love to hear more what you're planning to do, and we can help you build on that plan. So again, thank you all very much for joining us today, and hopefully we'll be talking to you soon.
Thank you.